The phone feels warm against my ear. The airline representative asks for the third time if I'm certain about this decision. Yes. My voice comes out steady, calm, like I'm ordering coffee instead of canceling the trip of a lifetime. Cancel both tickets. I'm absolutely sure. My kitchen table is covered in morning sunlight. The two airplane tickets sit there. Cream-colored paper, first-class seats, Paris departure in 3 days. Fletcher's name, Odette's name, not mine. Never mine. The representative clicks her keyboard. The cancellation is complete, Mrs. Calloway. The confirmation will be sent to your email within the hour. Thank you. I hang up. Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The silence in my house sounds different now, lighter. Like I've opened windows that have been nailed shut for years. I stand up, walk to the counter, and pull down the expensive tea I bought 6 months ago, the kind I always saved for special occasions that never came. Today feels special enough. The kettle whistles, steam rises. I pour the water over the tea bag and watch it bloom dark in the clear glass mug. Bernard's old chair by the window catches the light just right. I sit down, the cushion still holding the shape of him, even after 6 years. The birds at the feeder outside are fighting over seeds, cardinals and blue jays bright against the gray November morning. My phone sits face down on the table, silent now. But in 18 hours it will explode. Fletcher and Odette will arrive at the airport tomorrow morning. They'll hand over their passports, confident and packed. The airline agent will scan their tickets and frown. The system will show cancellation. No reservation found. They'll call customer service. Someone will tell them the truth. Canceled yesterday at 2:15 in the afternoon. They'll know exactly who made that call. The tea tastes better than anything I've had in months. I can see it now. Odette's face going pale under her perfect makeup. Fletcher's voice rising in the airport terminal. Security glancing over. Other passengers staring. Their luggage, probably 4 suitcases for a week-long trip, sitting useless at their feet. My phone will ring. Fletcher's number. Maybe 20 calls before noon. But right now, in this moment, with expensive tea warming my hands and cardinal red wings flashing outside my window, I feel something I haven't felt in 5 years. I feel like myself again. The woman I used to be wouldn't have done this. The woman who wore shoes with holes to buy Fletcher new sneakers. The woman who ate canned soup for dinner so her son could have birthday steak. That woman would have apologized, begged forgiveness, offered to pay for new tickets herself even though she lives on a fixed income. But that woman died somewhere between being called quaint at an engagement party and being told she was too old to travel with her own family. My phone would ring in approximately 18 hours. Fletcher and Odette would be at the airport. Their tickets wouldn't work. And they'd know exactly who made that call. I'm Margot Calloway, 73 years old, widow for 6 years now, mother to Fletcher, 36 years old, finance manager, owner of a house with marble countertops and a wife who wears pearls to brunch. Bernard died when Fletcher was 12. Heart attack in the driveway, keys still in his hand. I found him when I got home from my shift at the hospital cafeteria. The ambulance came too late. Fletcher watched from the window while they covered his father with a white sheet. That night, I made a promise. Fletcher would have everything, every opportunity, every advantage, whatever it took. I worked 2 jobs, morning shift serving food to nurses and doctors who barely looked at me, evening shift cleaning offices downtown, my knees aching on tile floors, emptying trash cans that smelled like old coffee and broken dreams. My shoes had holes. I put cardboard inside them. Fletcher never knew. Dinner was soup from a can most nights. But Fletcher's plate had chicken, vegetables, milk. He ate well, grew tall, made the basketball team. I remember the smell of that hospital cafeteria grease in my hair, the way it never fully washed out. I'd shower for 20 minutes and still catch traces of it on my pillow at night. But Fletcher's sneakers were always new. White and clean, the best ones. He got into college, state university, but still, college. First in our family. I cried when we got the acceptance letter. Bernard would have been so proud. Fletcher studied hard. Got a job right after graduation. Finance. Good salary, benefits. He moved into a nice apartment in the city, started wearing suits to work. His voice on our Sunday phone calls sounded different, confident, successful. Those Sunday calls were everything to me. I'd make tea, sit in Bernard's chair, and we'd talk for an hour. He'd tell me about work, about his friends, about the places he'd visited. I'd tell him about the garden, about the birds, about the neighbors. Simple things. But they were ours. The calls came every Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning, like clockwork. For years. I didn't know those Sunday calls were numbered, that they'd become monthly, then quarterly, then nothing but silence and the occasional birthday text that felt copied and pasted from somewhere else. Then Fletcher brought Odette home for Thanksgiving. She wore pearls and a smile that never reached her eyes. When she looked at me, I saw my future, and it was cold. 5 years of marriage. 5 years of watching my son disappear into someone else's life. 5 years of becoming invisible in slow motion. Odette Moreau, 34 years old, marketing executive, the kind of woman who says things like synergy and circle back. She met Fletcher at some corporate event, open bar, networking badges, people trading business cards like currency. Their engagement party was at a restaurant downtown. White tablecloths, waiters in bow ties. I wore my best dress, the navy one I'd bought for Bernard's funeral. It was still nice, clean, pressed. Odette cornered me by the champagne fountain. Her smile was sharp. Fletcher says you worked in a cafeteria. She sipped her champagne. How quaint. Quaint, like I was a decoration, a curiosity, something from another time. At the hospital, I said. For 16 years. She looked past me at someone more important. Must have been character building. She moved away before I could respond. Her perfume lingered, expensive, heavy, that suffocating. I should have seen it then. The way she looked at me like I was dirt on her expensive shoes, the way Fletcher stood beside her and said nothing. But I told myself I was being sensitive, reading too much into things. This was his happiness, his future. What kind of mother would I be to stand in the way? The trouble started so small I almost missed it. Thanksgiving dinner moved from my house to theirs. We need to start our own traditions, Odette explained. Her smile was plastic. Christmas followed, then Easter, then birthdays. I still came. Still brought dishes, my pecan pie that Fletcher loved since he was 6, the roast chicken with herbs from my garden. I'd arrive early, offer to help set up. Odette would take my dishes to her kitchen with barely a glance. Later, when I'd sneak in to help clean up, I'd find them. Untouched, still covered in foil, sitting on top of the trash can like evidence. Oh, we had so much food already, Odette would say, not meeting my eyes when I asked. You understand? Fletcher would shrug when I mentioned it on the rare occasions we were alone. Mom, don't make this bigger than it is. Odette works hard on these meals. Don't make this bigger than it is, like my feelings were the problem, like I was being dramatic. The first grandchild came 2 years into their marriage. Sienna Rose, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, born on a Tuesday morning in May. I found out on Wednesday when I finally got through to Fletcher's cell phone. He sounded exhausted, happy, distant. Why didn't you call? My voice cracked. I would have come to the hospital. Mom, it was immediate family only, hospital rules. Odette wanted it quiet. Immediate family. The words cut like paper, thin and surprisingly deep. Can I come visit today? I'll bring food. You must be exhausted. Actually, Odette's parents are here right now. Maybe give us a few days? We'll send pictures. They sent 3 pictures. Sienna looked like Fletcher. My chest ached, looking at her tiny face on my phone screen. I didn't get to hold her until she was 3 weeks old. The second grandchild came 3 years later. Crosby James, born in October. I wasn't called until 2 days after. Things were hectic, Fletcher explained. No apology in his voice, just fact. I tried to be involved anyway. Sent birthday gifts, always expensive, always thoughtful. A wooden puzzle set for Sienna. A stuffed elephant for Crosby, books, clothes, toys I researched online for hours. I'd call a week later. Did the package arrive? Oh, yes, Odette would say. So generous. The kids loved it. Her tone was flat, rehearsed. But when I visited, I never saw the toys. Never saw Sienna wearing the dresses I'd sent. Never saw Crosby sleeping with the elephant. I offered to babysit. Anytime. I'm retired. My schedule is wide open. We have a nanny, Odette said, but thank you. The nanny was 24, blonde, called the children sweetie. They ran to her when they fell, called her Miss Lacey. They called me the lady. I kept trying, kept calling, kept showing up because that's what grandmothers do. But each attempt felt like throwing stones into a well. No splash, no echo, just silence that went on forever. Sienna's 8th birthday party was at one of those indoor play places. Loud music, kids screaming, parents networking in corners. I arrived with presents. 3 of them, wrapped carefully in paper. Sienna would like purple with silver stars. The invitation had said 2 o'clock. I got there at 1:50. Fletcher was by the door checking people in. He looked surprised to see me. Mom, hey, didn't think you'd make it. I RSVP'd 3 weeks ago. I held up the presents. Where should I put these? He pointed vaguely toward a table already piled high with gifts wrapped in matching paper, clearly from the same expensive store. Mine looked homemade next to them. Cheap. The party lasted 2 hours. Sienna opened presents at the end. She barely glanced at mine. Odette stood behind her, murmuring things I couldn't hear. They moved on quickly. I left early. No one noticed. The drive home took 20 minutes. My hands shook on the steering wheel. The radio played songs I didn't know. When I pulled into my driveway, I sat in the car for 30 minutes before I could make myself go inside. The house was too quiet. The silence pressed against my eardrums. Then came the phone call that changed everything. Fletcher's voice, cheerful and distant, background noise, traffic, voices, the city swallowing him whole. Hey, Mom, just wanted to give you a heads up. We're planning a big family trip to Paris in December. Paris, the city Bernard and I had always talked about visiting. We'd had a jar on the kitchen counter labeled Paris Fund. We'd added dollars and quarters for years. Never enough. Never the right time. Then Bernard died and the jar stayed in the cabinet, coins gathering dust. My heart jumped, leaped, soared. Oh, Fletcher. That sounds wonderful. Paris in December must be magical. When should I start looking at flights? I'll need to check passport expiration dates. Silence on the other end. Long, heavy, suffocating. I heard him breathing, heard a car horn in the background, heard my own heartbeat in my ears. Actually, Mom? His voice changed. Careful now, like he was talking to a child. It's just going to be me, Odette, and the kids. A nuclear family trip, you know? Nuclear family. The words detonated in my chest. Oh. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Thinner. Like I was disappearing even as I spoke. Of course, that sounds nice. We'll send you pictures. The kids are so excited. It'll be their first time overseas. My first time overseas would have been with them. Would have been with my son and my grandchildren. Would have been finally seeing the city Bernard and I had dreamed about for 30 years. Gotta run, Mom. Meeting in 5. Fletcher. Click. Dial tone. Gone. I sat in my kitchen for an hour after that call. The afternoon light came through the window above the sink. The same window I'd looked through 1,000 times while doing dishes after working double shifts. The same window I'd watched Fletcher play in the backyard through. The same window that framed my whole life in this house. The light moved across the floor. My coffee grew cold in my favorite mug, the one Fletcher had given me 15 years ago, Mother's Day, painted with his handprints when they were small. World's best mom in crooked letters. I hadn't felt like the world's best mom in a very long time. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, counting shadows. At 2 in the morning, I got up and checked my phone. Instagram, Facebook. I know I shouldn't have looked. Odette's Instagram story glowed in the dark. Her, trying on outfits, a pile of clothes on her bed, designer luggage in the background, her face bright with excitement. The caption, family trip of a lifetime. Can't wait to show the kids Paris. Hashtag blessed family time. 11,000 likes. 200 comments. People congratulating her, calling her lucky, asking for travel tips. I stared at that screen until my eyes burned. Then I put the phone down and walked to the kitchen. Made tea I didn't drink. Watched the sunrise through that same window. The light changed from black to gray to pink. Nuclear family. I whispered the words out loud. They tasted bitter, son. 2 weeks later, Fletcher called again. This time, they needed a favor, and when he explained what that favor was, my blood ran cold. Hey, Mom, we need someone to house sit while we're in Paris. His voice was casual, easy, like this was normal. Water the plants, bring in the mail, keep an eye on things, you know. I gripped the phone. Of course. I'd be happy to help. Great, actually, he paused. I heard Odette's voice in the background, muffled. Odette was wondering if you could also handle some light housekeeping while you're there. Since you'll be stopping by anyway. Light housekeeping. The words hung in the air like smoke. What kind of housekeeping? Oh, you know, the dishes really pile up. Maybe run the vacuum once or twice, nothing major. Our cleaning service is on vacation that week, and Odette's really stressed about leaving the house messy. My jaw clenched, teeth grinding. You want me to clean your house while you vacation in Paris? Mom. His tone shifted, defensive now. Don't make it sound like that. We're just asking for help. Family helps family, right? Family helps family. The words tasted like rust in my mouth. Like blood. Like all the years I'd spent giving everything and getting back nothing but empty plates and cold silences. I'll think about it, I managed. Great. Odette will email you the details. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Click. Gone again. Like I was a task to check off his list. Call Mom. Done. Next. I stared at the phone in my hand. My fingers had gone white around it. Bloodless. The email from Odette arrived the next morning. Subject line, house sitting instructions. I opened it with my coffee, took a sip, nearly choked. It wasn't just dishes. Water 23 plants, each with specific schedules and amounts. Orchids on Monday and Thursday. Succulents on Wednesday. The fiddle leaf fig only if the soil was dry 2 inches down. Vacuum every room. All 4 bedrooms. The office, the living room, the basement. Clean all 3 bathrooms. Toilets, showers, sinks, mirrors. Take out trash on pickup days. Sort mail into 3 categories. Bills, personal, junk. Wipe down all kitchen counters daily. Clean out the fridge of any expired items. Run the dishwasher and unload. Dust ceiling fans in every room. Check the pool filter. The list went on for 2 pages, single-spaced, numbered. At the bottom, thanks so much for helping us out. This really means a lot. We know we can count on you. XOXO. Odette. The X's and O's looked like tiny acts of violence on my screen. Kisses and hugs that felt like slaps. I didn't respond, didn't call, just sat there staring at my laptop screen until the words blurred together. My coffee grew cold. The morning light moved across my kitchen table. Hours passed. That world's best mom mug sat in my sink. Unwashed. Stained. I'd washed dishes for them at every holiday. Stood in their kitchen, elbow deep in suds while they laughed in the other room. While Odette's parents sat on the good couch drinking good wine. While I scrubbed their plates and pretended not to notice I was the only one cleaning. Family helps family. But when had they helped me? When had Fletcher offered to mow my lawn when my arthritis flared? When had Odette brought me dinner when I had the flu last winter? When had my grandchildren drawn me a picture, sent me a letter, called just to say hello? I closed the laptop, stood up, walked to my garden. The tomato plants needed weeding. My knees ached as I knelt in the dirt, but I didn't care. The garden was mine. The one place that gave instead of taking. I pulled weeds, felt the soil under my fingernails, breathed in the smell of growing things. Out here, I wasn't too old. I wasn't quaint. I wasn't a maid or a storage unit or a convenient solution to their problems. Out here, I was just Margot. 4 days before their trip, Odette showed up at my house unannounced. I was still in my garden. The afternoon sun hot on my neck, my hands deep in the soil, pulling weeds from around the tomato plants. My back ached. My knees screamed, but the garden was honest. You plant seeds, they grow. You pull weeds, the good plants thrive. Simple. Fair. Margot! Her voice carried across my yard like wind chimes in a hurricane. Too loud, too bright. I looked up. Dirt on my hands, sweat on my forehead. She stood by my gate in white jeans to visit someone gardening, and a silk blouse that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Her designer purse dangled from one arm. Everything about her screamed expensive, untouchable, clean. Odette, I stood slowly, feeling every one of my 73 years in my joints. Wiped my hands on my pants. What brings you by? I wanted to talk about the house-sitting arrangement. She didn't come through the gate, just stood there on the sidewalk, blocking the sun so I had to squint to see her face, backlit, glowing, like some kind of angel of doom. I haven't responded to your email yet. I know. She adjusted her sunglasses. That's why I'm here. I realized we never discussed compensation. Compensation? The word sounded foreign in her mouth, like she was trying out a new language. Compensation? Well, yes, for your time. For helping us out. She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. We were thinking, maybe free groceries while you're there? You can eat whatever's in the fridge. We'll be gone anyway. No sense letting food go to waste. My hands stopped moving, hung in the air between us. Free groceries. Exactly, and you can watch our Netflix. The subscription is paid through December. We have all the premium channels. She said it like she was offering me the moon, like I should fall to my knees in gratitude. Something inside me went very still, very quiet, like the moment before a storm when the air stops moving and the birds go silent. That's generous, I heard myself say. My voice sounded far away. Her smile widened. We take care of family. Oh, and Fletcher wanted me to mention something else. She examined her nails. Perfect manicure. French tips. Maybe don't plan on coming on trips with us in the future. You know, you're getting older, Margot. Travel is hard at your age. All that walking, the jet lag, long flights. You'd probably be miserable anyway. The words hung in the air between us like smoke, like poison gas. The kids need their parents' full attention on trips like this. She leaned on my gatepost, casual, easy, like we were discussing the weather. Not distractions, you understand, right? Distractions. She called me a distraction. Me, the woman who raised the man she married, the woman who sacrificed everything so Fletcher could become someone she deemed worthy of her time. And honestly, she tilted her head, a smile playing at her lips. It would be better if you just stayed home and helped out more here. The dishes really do pile up. It would give you something to do. Purpose, you know? Everyone needs purpose at your age. My heart hammered against my ribs. Drumbeat. War drum. My vision went spotty around the edges, gray creeping in. You just stay home and wash our dishes, Grandma. She pushed off the gatepost, checked her phone. That's where you're really needed, where you're useful. Then she left. Just turned and walked back to her BMW parked at my curb. Black, pristine, probably cost more than I made in 3 years at the hospital. Her heels clicked on the sidewalk. Click, 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 like a countdown, like a timer running out. The car door shut, engine started, she was gone. I stood in my garden until the sun started to set, my hands still covered in dirt, my knees still bent, my back still aching. The tomato plant swayed in the breeze. A bee landed on a flower, life continuing like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something had broken. Or maybe something had finally, mercifully, died. My hands shook when I finally went inside. My eyes burned, hot and dry. No tears came, just white-hot clarity spreading through my chest like wildfire. Stay home and wash their dishes. That's where I was useful, where I was needed. Not in Paris with my grandchildren, not making memories. Not being family. Just stay home, stay small, stay useful. I didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't even respond. I just watched her walk away, heels clicking like a countdown timer. Something inside me had gone very quiet, very still, the kind of quiet that comes before lightning strikes. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching shadows move across the plaster, car headlights from the street sweeping patterns, the house creaking, my own breathing loud in the darkness. I thought about Bernard, what he would say if he could see this, if he could see his son treating his mother like hired help, his daughter-in-law calling me a distraction, his grandchildren growing up thinking I was the lady instead of grandma. Bernard would be furious. He'd always said I gave too much, worried too much, sacrificed too much. You can't pour from an empty cup, Margot, he used to tell me. Usually on Sunday mornings, sitting in his chair by the window with his coffee and newspaper. You keep giving pieces of yourself away. What happens when there's nothing left? I'd always laughed it off. Said mothers don't run empty. Said love multiplies instead of divides. But I was wrong. My cup wasn't just empty now, it was shattered on the floor, broken into pieces so small I couldn't pick them up anymore. At 2 in the morning, I got up, made chamomile tea with shaking hands, sat at my kitchen table in the dark. The streetlight outside cast long shadows through my window. I thought about every sacrifice, every missed meal, every extra shift, every time I'd chosen Fletcher's needs over my own. New shoes for him, cardboard in mine. Steak for him, soup for me, college for him, retirement dreams abandoned for me. And now I was too old to travel, too old to be included, too old to matter. Good enough to clean toilets and wash dishes, good enough to water 23 plants and vacuum 4 bedrooms, good enough to be useful, but not good enough to be loved. The tea grew cold in my hands. Outside, a dog barked. Someone drove past, music thumping. The world kept moving, kept living, kept not caring that my heart was breaking in my kitchen at 2 in the morning. Bernard's chair sat empty by the window. I could almost see him there, almost hear his voice. What are you going to do about it, Margot? I didn't know. Not yet. But something was shifting. Something was changing. Like tectonic plates moving deep underground, right before an earthquake splits the earth open. The next morning, I checked my mailbox like always. Bills, junk mail, a grocery store flyer, and then an envelope. Cream-colored, thick paper, expensive. The kind of stationery Odette would use. No return address. My hands trembled as I opened it, standing right there on my porch. The morning air cold on my face. Frost still on my lawn. My breath visible in small clouds. Inside, 2 airplane tickets, printed confirmations. Fletcher Calloway and Odette Moreau Calloway. First class, direct to Paris, departure in 3 days. A handwritten note on matching stationery, looped cursive in blue ink. Margot, can you hold on to these for us? Our printer is broken and we need them for check-in at the airport. We'll swing by and pick them up the morning we leave. Thanks. Oh. I stood there holding those tickets, the paper crisp under my fingers, and my mailbox still open behind me. The flag up, red against the gray morning sky. They'd chosen my mailbox like a storage unit, like a locker, like I was furniture. A convenient place to keep things until they needed them. Not a mother, not a grandmother, not a person, a storage unit. I walked inside. My legs felt strange, disconnected, like I was watching myself move from somewhere far away. Closed the door, stood in my entryway holding those tickets. The house was silent. The clock in the hallway ticked. The refrigerator hummed. The heater kicked on, normal sounds, but nothing felt normal. I walked to my kitchen, sat at the table, looked at those tickets for a long time. The airline's customer service number was printed at the bottom in small, neat font. A phone number, just a string of digits, nothing special. I picked up my phone. My fingers didn't shake. My hands were steady, the steadiest they'd been in years. I dialed. Thank you for calling Celestial Airlines. This is Dakota speaking. How may I help you today? Hello, yes. My voice came out calm, clear, strong. I need to cancel a reservation. I'd be happy to help you with that. Can I have your confirmation number? I read it off the ticket, letter by letter, number by number, slow and sure. Clicking sounds, keyboard typing. Okay, I see the reservation here. 2 passengers, first class to Paris, departing in 3 days. Can I ask the reason for cancellation? Change of plans. I understand. Just to confirm, you'd like to cancel both passengers? Mr. Fletcher Calloway and Mrs. Odette Moreau Calloway? Yes, both passengers. Full cancellation. All right. And will you be rebooking at a different time? No, we won't be rebooking. More typing, a pause. I see. Just to make you aware, there will be penalties for canceling this close to departure. The tickets were non-refundable, so you'll lose the full value. That's $6,800 total. Are you sure you want to proceed? $6,800. Fletcher's money, Odette's vacation, their first-class seats and their family trip and their nuclear family experience. Gone. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, can I verify? Are you authorized to make changes to this reservation? I'm Fletcher's mother. He asked me to hold on to the tickets. Not a lie, just not the whole truth. I see. Unfortunately, for security purposes, I need verbal authorization from one of the passengers to process this cancellation. Is Mr. Calloway or Mrs. Calloway available? My heart stopped, skipped, then started again, harder. He's not available right now. He's in a meeting. But he specifically asked me to handle this. My voice stayed steady. Is there another way we can verify? I have the confirmation number, the passenger names, the departure details. The representative paused. I heard her breathing, heard background noise from the call center, other voices, other calls, other people's problems being solved. Let me check with my supervisor. Can you hold for just a moment? Of course. Elevator music, soft jazz, saxophones, and piano. I sat at my kitchen table holding the phone, my heart beating in my throat. The tickets spread out in front of me, evidence, proof, the beginning or the end of something. Click. Thank you for holding. My supervisor has approved the cancellation given the circumstances and your access to the confirmation details. Processing that now. Relief flooded through me. Warm, dizzying, more typing, more clicking, then. The cancellation is complete. Both passengers have been removed from the flight. The confirmation email will be sent to the address on file within the hour. Is there anything else I can help you with today? No, thank you. Thank you for calling Celestial Airlines. Have a great day. Click, dial tone, silence. I set the phone down on the table. My hands were steady. My heart was racing, but my hands were perfectly, impossibly steady. The ticket sat there, canceled, useless. Just paper now. Expensive, cream-colored paper with Fletcher's name and Odette's name and a destination they'd never reach. When I hung up, the house felt different, lighter, like someone had opened all the windows and let fresh air flood through rooms that had been holding their breath for years. Decades. A lifetime. I stood up, walked to the cabinet, pulled down the good tea, the expensive kind I'd bought 6 months ago and never opened because it felt too special, too wasteful, too much for just me. The kettle whistled. I poured the water over the tea bag and watched it bloom dark in Bernard's favorite mug. Clear glass. I could see the color spreading. Beautiful. I carried the mug to his chair by the window, sat down. The cushion still held the shape of him. Memory foam. Literal memory pressed into foam. I fit into the space he'd left behind. Outside, the birds were at the feeder. Cardinals and blue jays fighting over seeds. Bright red against gray November sky. Cobalt blue catching the pale sunlight. They pecked and fluttered and lived their bird lives, unaware that my world had just shifted on its axis. A cardinal landed on the feeder. Male, bright red, stunning. He looked right at me through the window, head tilted, black eyes shining. I smiled. My phone sat on the table. Silent now. But tomorrow morning it would explode. Fletcher and Odette would wake up early, too excited to sleep. They'd probably barely slept anyway, too busy checking their luggage, printing their itinerary, setting multiple alarms. They'd get to the airport at dawn, check their bags, head to the first-class counter with their passports and their confidence and their complete certainty that everything would work exactly as planned. The airline agent would scan their tickets, frown, try again. The computer would show, canceled, no reservation found, No seats available. I'm sorry, the agent would say. Your tickets have been canceled. That's impossible, Odette would say, her voice rising, attracting attention. We're supposed to be on this flight. Let me check with my supervisor. Minutes passing, other passengers staring, Sienna and Crosby asking what's wrong, Odette's face going pale under her perfect makeup. Fletcher pulling out his phone, pulling up emails, showing proof that this was supposed to work. According to our system, the reservation was canceled yesterday at 2:15 in the afternoon by phone. By who? I don't have that information available, but someone with access to your confirmation number called and canceled both passengers. The realization would hit them like cold water, like ice, like falling through frozen lake surface and going under. Fletcher would call me, multiple times. My phone would light up with his name again and again and again, but that was tomorrow's problem. Today I had expensive tea and cardinal red wings and morning sunlight that made everything look new. I sipped my tea. Warm, perfect. The most expensive tea I'd ever bought, and it tasted like freedom. There would be anger tomorrow. Accusations. Maybe Fletcher would never speak to me again. Maybe I'd lose what little access I had to my grandchildren. Maybe I'd spend holidays alone forever. But as I sat there in Bernard's chair, warm tea in my hands and birds singing outside my window, I realized something. I'd spent 32 years being the mother Fletcher needed, sacrificing, giving, shrinking myself smaller and smaller to fit into whatever space they allowed me, eating soup, wearing cardboard in my shoes, working until my body ached, accepting crumbs and calling it love. Maybe it was time to be the woman Margot deserved. The canceled ticket sat on my table like evidence of a crime I didn't regret. Outside, the cardinal flew away. His wings caught the light, red against gray, beautiful and bright and completely, utterly free. I wasn't too old to make choices. I wasn't too old to say no. I wasn't too old to matter. And I definitely wasn't going to wash their dishes. Sometimes quiet justice sounds like a phone disconnecting. Looks like canceled plans. Feels like taking back power you'd given away one sacrifice at a time, one soup dinner at a time, one ignored dish at a time. I was 73 years old. I'd raised a son who forgot where he came from. I'd given everything and been told I was still not enough. But sitting in that chair, in that moment, with expensive tea warming my hands and morning light painting my kitchen gold, I was enough. I was exactly enough. And the rest? That was tomorrow's problem. Today, I chose me. The next morning arrived with frost on my windows and ice in my chest. Not cold, crystalline, clear, sharp. I made breakfast, real breakfast, eggs, toast, the bacon I usually saved for special occasions. Orange juice in a wine glass because why not? Sat at my table and ate slowly. Tasted everything. My phone sat face up next to my plate. 7:30 in the morning. Their flight was at 10. They'd be at the airport by now. Maybe already at the counter, 7:45. My phone lit up, Fletcher's name. Photo from 5 years ago when he still smiled at me like I mattered. I watched it ring. Watched his face glow on my screen. Let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Again, I watched it. The third time, Odette's number. I took a sip of orange juice and let it ring through. By 8 o'clock, I had 12 missed calls. Fletcher's voicemail started playing automatically, one after another, a symphony of panic. Mom, call me back right now. Something's wrong with our tickets. Mom, seriously, this isn't funny. We need those tickets. Where are you? Mom, the airline says someone canceled our reservation yesterday. Was it you? Did you touch our tickets? Call me. His voice got louder, higher, more desperate with each message. I could hear Odette in the background, her voice sharp. Could hear Crosby crying. Could hear airport announcements echoing. My eggs were perfect. Not too runny, not too dry. The texts started coming in rapid fire. Fletcher first. Mom, answer your phone. This is serious. Did you do something to our tickets? Call me now. Then Odette. Margot, we need to talk. You had our tickets. What did you do? This is unbelievable. How could you be so selfish? Fletcher is devastated. The kids are crying because you've ruined everything. I knew we couldn't trust you. You're just a bitter old woman. Don't expect to see your grandchildren again. I read each one slowly, carefully, sipped my coffee between messages. The words that should have hurt, bitter, old, selfish, they bounced off me like rain off glass. My phone rang again. Fletcher. I looked at it for a long moment, watched it vibrate across my table. Then I picked it up. Hello? Mom! His voice exploded through the speaker. Where have you been? Why haven't you answered? What happened to our tickets? Good morning, Fletcher. Don't good morning me. Do you know what's happening? We're at the airport. Our tickets don't work. The airline says someone canceled them yesterday. Did you? He stopped, breathing hard. Did you cancel our trip? I took a sip of coffee, let the silence stretch. Yes. What? His voice cracked. Why would you? Mom, this is insane. You had no right. You asked me to hold on to them. To hold them, not to cancel them. Mom, do you understand what you've done? This trip cost us thousands of dollars. The kids have been looking forward to this for months. Odette's parents were going to meet us there. You've, words failed him. I made a choice, I said calmly. The same way you chose a nuclear family, the same way Odette chose to make me the help, the same way you both chose to exclude me, use me, and then expect me to be grateful for leftovers from your fridge. That's not, Mom, you're being dramatic. Am I? My voice stayed level, flat. Tell me, Fletcher. When was the last time you visited me without needing something? When was the last time you called just to talk? When was the last time your children knew my name? Silence. Then, we've been busy. Busy, I laughed. It sounded hollow. You've been busy, but not too busy to ask me to clean your house while you vacation in the city I dreamed about visiting my entire marriage. The city your father and I saved for, the city I'll never see because I'm too old, right? Too old to travel. But not too old to scrub your toilets. Odette didn't mean it like that. Yes, she did, and you let her. You stood there in your nice house with your nice wife and your nice life, and you let her treat me like furniture. Like I'm something to use and then put away when you're done. I could hear Odette in the background, trying to grab the phone. Fletcher's voice muffled as he argued with her. Then he was back. We needed that trip. And I needed to matter, I said quietly. I needed to be more than your housekeeper. More than too old. More than a distraction from your perfect nuclear family. So this is revenge? This is you being petty? No, Fletcher, this is me saying no. This is me teaching you that I'm not a doormat, that I'm not a storage unit, that I'm your mother, and I deserve better than being told where I'm useful. Another pause, longer this time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, smaller. We needed that trip, Mom. I know, but I needed my son. And you've been gone for 5 years. That's not fair. Neither is asking me to water 23 plants while you make memories with my grandchildren. Neither is throwing away my food at every holiday. Neither is making me find out I have grandchildren days after they're born. None of this has been fair, Fletcher. I just finally stopped pretending it was. The line went quiet. I could hear airport sounds, announcements, rolling suitcases, strangers living their lives while mine fractured on a phone call. I don't know what to say, Fletcher finally whispered. You don't have to say anything. You just have to think about whether you want a mother or a maid. Because I'm done being the second one. Mom, I'm going to hang up now. When you're ready to talk like I'm your mother instead of your problem, you know where I am. I'll be in my garden, living my life, being too old to matter. I paused. But not too old to choose myself. I hung up before he could respond. My phone immediately started ringing again. I turned it off. Complete silence. The most beautiful silence I'd ever heard. For 3 days, my phone stayed off. I worked in my garden, read books I'd been meaning to read for years, cooked elaborate meals just for myself, sat in Bernard's chair and watched birds and breathed air that didn't taste like obligation. On the 4th day, I turned my phone back on. 237 messages. 63 missed calls. I deleted them all without reading. Started fresh. One new message came through that afternoon. Fletcher, can I come over? Alone. We need to talk. I stared at it for 10 minutes, then typed, tomorrow, 2 o'clock. He arrived at exactly 2. His car pulled up and he sat there for a minute before getting out. I watched from my window. He looked tired, older somehow, like he'd aged years and days. I opened the door before he could knock. We stood there, looking at each other across my threshold. Mother and son, strangers who used to be family. Come in, I said. He followed me to the kitchen, sat at the table where he'd done homework as a child, where we'd celebrated report cards and birthdays and small victories. He looked around like he was seeing it for the first time. Coffee? I asked him this. Please. I made 2 cups, sat across from him, waited. Odette and I had a big fight, he finally said. 3 days of fighting. About you, about us, about everything. I didn't respond, just sipped my coffee. She said things. I said things. Her parents got involved. It was bad. He ran his hand through his hair. She's staying with her sister right now. I'm sorry. Are you? He looked up, eyes red. You canceled our trip. You humiliated us at the airport. I drew a boundary, I interrupted. There's a difference. A boundary? Mom, you destroyed thousands of dollars worth of tickets. You destroyed 20 years of me being your mother with a house-sitting email and a comment about being too old. I set my cup down. What's more expensive, Fletcher? Plane tickets or a relationship with your mother? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came. When did I become the help? I asked softly. When did I stop being mom and start being the woman who does your dishes? You're being unfair. No, I'm being honest. For the first time in 5 years, I'm saying what I actually think instead of swallowing it down and pretending it doesn't hurt. I leaned forward. You forgot me, Fletcher. Slowly, year by year, phone call by phone call, until I was just this thing in your life that you dealt with when necessary. And I let it happen. I told myself you were busy. You were building your life. You had a wife and kids and career, and I should just be grateful for whatever scraps you threw my way. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I didn't mean to. I know. That's the worst part. You didn't mean to. You just did. And Odette made it easier. She gave you permission to push me aside, to make me small, to treat me like an obligation instead of a person. I reached across the table, took his hand. But I'm still here, Fletcher. I'm still your mother. I'm just not going to disappear to make your wife comfortable anymore. What do I do? His voice broke. How do I fix this? You start by deciding what you want. Do you want a mother or a maid? Do you want your children to know their grandmother or to grow up thinking I'm the lady? Do you want a relationship with me or a convenient person to call when you need housework done? I want my mom. He was crying now, really crying. I want my mom. Then you have to choose that, every day, over Odette's comfort, over your own convenience, over the path of least resistance. I squeezed his hand. I love you, Fletcher. But I won't disappear to make your life easier. Not anymore. We talked for 3 hours. He cried, I cried. We said hard things, true things, things that had been festering for years. When he left, nothing was fixed. Nothing was healed. But something had started. Something real. 6 months later, everything was different. Fletcher had moved into an apartment. Separation, not divorce. He and Odette were in counseling. She'd written me a letter. 4 pages of apology that felt genuine. I'd written back, we weren't friends, but we weren't enemies. Fletcher visited every Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning. We'd have coffee in the kitchen. He'd tell me about his week. I'd tell him about my garden. We were rebuilding. Slowly. Carefully. Like planting new seeds in old soil. And the kids, Sienna and Crosby, they knew my name now, called me Grandma. Came over to help in the garden. Got dirt under their fingernails. Learned about tomatoes and birds and patient things. Sienna had asked last week, "Grandma, why didn't we visit you before?" I'd looked at Fletcher. He'd nodded. Sometimes, I'd said carefully, adults make mistakes. They forget what's important. But the good news is we can always start again. We can always choose better. "I like visiting you," she'd said. "Your garden smells nice." I'd hugged her, tight. My granddaughter, finally. That Sunday morning, Fletcher arrived right on time. He brought bagels. We sat at my kitchen table, coffee steaming, morning light streaming through windows. "I've been thinking," he said, "about Paris." My chest tightened. "Oh?" "About how you and Dad always wanted to go, about that jar you used to keep on the counter." He pulled an envelope from his jacket, set it on the table between us. "Open it." Inside, 2 tickets. My name, Fletcher's name, Paris. 6 months from now. "If you still want to go," he said quietly. "If you'll go with me. Just us. A real trip. No agenda, no Odette. Just mother and son, seeing the city you've dreamed about." I stared at those tickets, my eyes burning. "I can't replace the years I wasted," Fletcher continued. "I can't undo the hurt. But I can do this. I can choose you. Finally. Really choose you." I looked up at my son, at this man I'd raised, who'd forgotten me, who'd remembered me, who was trying. "Yes," I whispered, "I'd like that." We hugged across my kitchen table. My coffee went cold. The bagels sat forgotten. And outside, a cardinal landed on my feeder, bright red against spring green leaves, singing a song that sounded like hope. I'm 73 years old. I canceled a trip that wasn't mine. I drew a boundary that broke before it healed. I chose myself when everyone expected me to choose service. And now I'm going to Paris with my son, not because I destroyed something, but because sometimes destruction is the only way to rebuild. If you've ever been told you're too old to matter, too much of a burden to include, too worn out to deserve respect, let me tell you something. Your worth was never theirs to decide. If you've ever been treated like furniture by your own family, like you exist just to serve and solve and disappear when you're no longer useful, you deserved better. You always deserved better. To anyone fighting their own battle right now, anyone who's been pushed aside, forgotten, made small by people who should have made you feel seen, your voice still matters. Your no still counts. Your choice to stop shrinking yourself is not selfish. It's survival. Stay quiet when you need to. Stay sharp when you must. But never, ever stay silent when your soul is screaming. What lesson hit you hardest from this story? And if you were in my shoes holding those tickets, feeling everything I felt, what would you have done? Would you have canceled that trip? Would you have said something sooner? Would you have walked away completely? Don't stop here. Click the next video on your screen right now and watch another story from our channel. There's more truth, more courage, more proof that it's never too late to choose yourself waiting for you. And hit subscribe, turn on those notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me your story. Tell me your moment. Tell me when you finally said no, because your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I'm 73 years old. I've washed my last